Hi everyone, this is Amber from Dolls of Amber, and today I'm back with another doll video. Today I'm working on my 3 commissions. I figured it would be really fun to document on how I made them, so let's get on with this video. I'll be working on 3 different doll bases. We first have this Barbie, which I'll be turning into Daphne from Bridgerton, and then we have 2 hybrids. This is a Draculaura head with a petite ever after high body, which I will turn into Sunset Shimmer. We also have a Melody Piper head on a G3 Draculaura body, which will be turned into a mini-me of the client's best friend. I don't know about you, but I think that is just the sweetest thing a friend can do. When I was consulting with my clients for these commissions, I helped them pick out the bodies and heads for the customs. I've already removed the hair for the 2 hybrid dolls since they arrived earlier than Barbie, but now I'm just gonna remove their faces using pure acetone. I bought this 30 ml bottle for 50 Filipino peso, or roughly 1 USD. And can anyone tell me, is it just in my country? Because when I bought this from the drugstore, there was a lot of precaution before they could let me buy it. They asked me for my ID and also the reason for buying acetone, and that was kinda odd. But yeah, moving on, I'm just removing the faces, and as you can see, it's much more easier to use pure acetone than just nail polish remover. With a cotton pad and more acetone, I gave them a final wipe, and we should be all ready. Well, I still need to remove Barbie's hair. Off camera, I did just that, and now I'm just doing some modifications on her head, because we don't need her teeth, we need to close down her mouth. If you watched my first video here on YouTube, I did this exact method on my mini-me doll. I just saw another YouTuber do this as well, and I figured I can do it on my doll to give it a certain look. Once the teeth is removed, I'm using super glue to stick the top and bottom lip together and close them shut. I'm just gonna hold the head in this position for a while until it dries. Once it was dry, I did add liquid fusion on top of it off camera, and I let it dry overnight. While that was drying, I started prepping the other 2 dolls. I sprayed the heads with MSC and started changing their skin tones. I'm just using watered down acrylic paint, and I'm painting on several layers on the body and the head. If you want an in-depth tutorial on this, my friend McKenna, aka Sulfic Studios, created a really good tutorial on this, so make sure to check it out if you also want to change your doll skin tones. I forgot to mention that in this video, I will focus more on the repaints. We're working on 3 dolls, and to keep the video short, I have to skip the hair and the outfits, so I'm really sorry about that. I'm still gonna talk about their hair and their outfits later on. I'm just not gonna show the process of how I did them, so I hope you guys are okay with that. In this part, I just started sketching out Sunset Shimmer's features. The client did send me a reference photo for the makeup, and I will try my best to recreate it. Once I was happy with the sketch, I busted out my color pencils and started blocking out the colors. For this, I'm using my Derwent Inktense color pencils, and I'll just slowly build up the colors. For her eyeshadow, I'm just using some orange from my old eyeshadow palette, and I'm just building that up in her crease area. With the same palette, I'm just using the pinks for her blush, and of course I'm just using that on both cheeks. In this part, I'm activating the pencil with some water to give it a kind of staining effect and a subtle gradient on the lips. I'm also emphasizing her smile by extending the edges of her lips. Referencing the makeup look again, I'm adding these sun flares. I don't really know what these are, but I'm just copying the design on the reference photo, and I'm just drawing that on with my color pencils. I'm adding more shadows on her face, using the same oranges and reds from the eyeshadow palette. I'm also doing some highlighting using my white and light orange pan pastels. I'm also adding in more color and depth on the flower or the sun ray design on her left eye. And now I'm finally lining her eyes with my black color pencil. I'm also doing her lashes. In this part, I've made sure that my pencils are really sharp. Now I'm just drawing on the blacks on her eyes or her pupils, and I'm also doing some highlighting using my white pencil. To make the colors pop, I'm using acrylic paint, starting off with the white. I'm also adding in some shadow on her eyes using some gray paint, and I'm just putting that on the top. Using some black acrylic paint, I'm just making sure that my lines are clean and sharp. I mixed up the color similar to her skin tone, and I'm just using that to clean off the edges and fixing any mistakes I might have made while I was working with the black paint. With some white paint, I'm painting on a ring of highlight under her pupils to further add more depth into her eyes. I also added in the catch lights, and in this part I'm just adding more darker colors into her lips. I'm making sure that this is really blended in to give it that gradient effect. Using some champagne paint, I'm putting this on the high points of her face, under her brow bone, her upper brow bone, her eyelid, her inner eye corner, and I added a little bit on the top of her nose as well. And with that, we're done with Sunset Shimmer's face. Off camera, I sprayed her face with the final layer of MSC, and now it's time to move on to the next head. I'm just sketching her features first, and this is the reference photo the client sent me. I did ask for her permission first before I added in her friend's face here. I hope they both get to watch this video later on. Again, I'm using my Derwent Inktense color pencils to block out the colors, and my eyeshadow palette to blush out her face. I'm using some orange on her lips, and I'm just blending that in really well. I'm also highlighting with my pan pastel. I'm using white for this, and I'm just adding that under her eyes, and again blending it really well. Just remember, blending is key. I'm also adding that onto her nose, and it may look intense right now, but once I spray this with MSC later, it will settle down, so don't worry. Now I'm just blushing her face with some pinks. And with some black soft pastel, I'm adding that onto her lids. With the plum shade color pencil, I'm drawing on the makeup details she has on her eyes, as seen on the reference photo. With the brown color pencil, I started drawing her eyebrows. The reference makeup didn't have liner on her eyes, just black eyeshadow, but I still decided to give her a cat eye using my black color pencils. I also darkened her lines, again making sure that everything is sharp and clean. At this point, I think I already added another layer of MSC, so now I'm just building up her eyeshadow with some more black soft pastel. I also added some purple on top of that black to add more dimension on her eyes. I'm also darkening her eyebrows using a darker brown color pencil. And same with her bottom eyeline, I'm adding more purple lines on top of her eyebrows. I'm finally adding more details on her eyes. I'm just lining it and drawing on her pupils. I'm also drawing on the moon design in the middle of her eyebrows, just shading that in with my black pencil. I'm now using white paint and adding that on the whites of her eyes. I also added in some pink on her tear ducts and darkened all of those penciled parts with black paint. I added in a ring of mint or light blue-green in her eyes to give it some depth and details. I finally added her catch lights. I added 2 dots on each eye, one bigger than the other. I mixed up a pinkish nude color for her lips, and I'm just filling that in. I added in some darker colors by mixing brown, red, and white. I did this to give the lips more dimension and depth. With the same skin color paint, I started cleaning up the lines. And with that, we're done with the second face. Decided not to add lashes on this doll since the reference photo didn't have any anyway, but she still ended up really good. Off camera, I sprayed her with the final layer of MSC. I created the face up for the other 2 dolls in one day, and now I'm doing Daphne the next day. Again, I'm just starting off by sketching her face with my mechanical pencil. I honestly had the most trouble doing this face, mostly because it's an entirely different style that I'm used to. I really don't think realism is my strong suit, but you'll see later on that she did ended up looking decent, so I'm okay with that. I started lightening her skin tone since this Barbie isn't as pale as I want her to be, so I'm just using Pan Pastel in the shade Burnt Sienna Tint to do this. I also started blushing her face using my eyeshadow palette. I'm using some oranges for her eyeshadow as well, and again I'm blending that in really well. I'm also contouring with some browns. I'm adding that onto her jaw to make her face appear more smaller and angular. With some white, I'm also using that to highlight the high points of her face, also brightening her under eyes, and again I'm gonna blend that in really well. I sprayed her face with another layer of MSC, and as you can see, the white highlights did settle down and it looks more natural. And now I'm just using my color pencils on her face. I started off with some brown for her eyebrows and a darker brown to draw on the hairlines. Same as before, I'm just using my white pencil to highlight, lining her eyes with some brown, also doing that for her lips. I had a little trouble keeping her eyes symmetrical in this part, So I'm trying to change the shape using paint similar to her skin tone. I did a lot of back and forth with this doll because I just couldn't get her eyes to look right. It might just be a few minutes here on this video, but it took me 5 hours to finish her face. I'm busting out the white paint and I'm praying to the gods because at this point, I just wasn't feeling confident at all. For her eyes, I decided to give her a blue-green color, basing it off from the actress who played Daphne from Bridgerton. For her lashes, I went straight in with paint. I didn't sketch it out this time because I want this to look as natural as possible. For her lips, I'm giving her a light warm tone pink. And while I was working on her, I had her reference photo right next to me the whole time just to make sure that she looks like her in the end. At this point, she looks nothing like the actress at all. But this is one of those trust the process types, and I was really trying hard to trust it. You can see in this part that I was really focused, and I didn't know that my head was in the way the whole time. But yeah, I painted her catch lights in that part, and I added tiny light blue dots in the middle of her pupils, just to add an extra shine in her eyes. I also enlarged her nostrils in here to imitate Daphne's features. I've cut out a lot of footage. I'm really sorry about that, but it was taking so long to get her to look right, so I decided to take my time with this doll. In here, I'm just contouring her nose. I noticed that Daphne's nose is thinner around the bridge, so I decided to use some pan pastels to contour it down. She's honestly looking better. I'm just adding some blush on her cheeks, and I'm just adding more details on her lips. Just like with the other two dolls, I'm just adding in depth, but for this doll, I'm making it look more realistic. This is the first time I'm doing this, but I'm adding in some light lines on her lips to imitate the natural texture lip has, and I'm doing this very light-handedly. Again, I'm just cleaning up with some skin tone paint. I'm doing this on her lips just to make it sharp and clean. And with that, we're done with Daphne, yippee! Off camera, I also sprayed her with a final layer of MSC. And a couple of days later, we're done with all the dolls. In this portion, I'm just gonna show you guys all of the dolls, all done with their hair and makeup. But here is the mini-me doll. Her dress is inspired by this reference photo. I gave her core refresh Draculaura stockings and her shoes. I just painted these black and added some silver detailing. Her dress closes in the back with some snaps. Same with her belt. And her hair is custom dyed. Since the shop that I buy my doll hair from doesn't have this particular color, I think she looks absolutely beautiful. Let me know what you think of her. Now we have Sunset Shimmer. She has the most pieces out of these three. I made her inner tube top, her outer crop top, and shorts. Her jacket is intended for a Barbie, but I got it from a Chinese seller. I just modified it to fit an ever after high body, and I painted on the details. The shorts are made of thin denim, and it velcros in the back, same with her tops. Her belt is from a G1 Claudine, and I also painted it black. I added some jump rings and some clasps so it could fit better on her waist. I think I did a pretty good job copying the reference photo the client sent me. My favorite part of her outfit is definitely her boots. These are actually leggings from Shadow High Glitch. I basically just cut them, modified them to fit ever after high legs, and then paint over them. Also, let me know what you think about her. And now we have Daphne. I honestly think she's so sweet. Her hair, dress, jewelry ties in really well with her face up. The dress is actually 2 fabric pieces. I just sewed them overlay to get this effect. I didn't have any reference photos for her shoes, but I had this pair in my stock box and I thought they would be perfect for her. Her dress also snaps in the back. I decided to use snaps instead of Velcro for her and the mini-me doll just because I think it will look a lot better and it will also close better, and I think it was a good choice. And that's all of them. Please let me know what you guys think of them. I worked so hard on these dolls. My clients love them and I can't wait for them to get these dolls. And now the glamour shots. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is a different style of video, but I hope you guys still like it. I'm not sure if I'll make any more videos in this format again in the future. I might just focus on one doll, but honestly my plans for the next couple of videos will be for solo dolls. In that way I can focus on them and show you more on how I created them. I'll try to get another video up for next week or the week after that if I can't. If you like this video and you want to see more from me, please don't forget to like and subscribe to see my future uploads. Again, thank you so much for watching this video and all the support. I love you guys, take care and goodbye.